I've got a great guest in the studio with me, my buddy Kristi Overton Johnson, who is a world champion water skier. And I said, what do I call you about your work today? I said, are you like an evangelist now? And you said you are a missionary.
Yeah, I prefer that.
Is that what you like?
I've never even thought of that. And recently I was introduced that way a couple of times. I'm like, I kind of like that because I do feel like I try to live on mission and get to go to prisons and visit those that are in a different land. So it's almost like I travel. This weekend I was in Pennsylvania in prisons that were built in 1873. You talk about a different land. I was like,
where was this?
Pennsylvania.
Oh,
I
wow.
was in
1873. They're still using the prison there?
Still using it. And the other one was upper 1800s and then 1923. And I was like, we felt like we were walking in something in Harry Potter.
So you got your big revival of hope coming up in September, and I want to talk about that. But since you brought up the prison ministry, the Victorious Living prison ministry that you do, tell me about that. What do you do when you go into? Because you go into prisons all over the country.
Yeah.
Tell me what the experience is like. What do you do there?
So all of this stemmed out of a visit with a friend, a boat driver that had been incarcerated. And in that first visit, I realized the power of a visit. And so basically in our events, we take other speakers with us, often musicians, and we go in. And this revival of hope that you're going to see in September, which we'll talk about in a minute, is what we do in those prisons. We bring messages of hope. Authentic storytelling is what we do. We share our stories of how God has changed our life. And we visit people. And a lot of the people that we visit, they've already been reading our magazine because it's in thousands of facilities across America. They've already been watching us on the prison tablets. They've been writing to us, getting responses from Lauren Mira Everett and her team. And it's like we're visiting family.
There's a lot of religious conversions in prison. Obviously, these are people who have been convicted of a crime, and now they're incarcerated, and they've got a lot of time to kind of revisit their life.
Yeah, right.
And that's when they have these conversions. A lot of time, I actually get a lot of mail from prisoners. Believe it or not, yeah. People, we have people listen. A lot of people in prisons locally listen to us, and I understand that because I remember my days on television. We used to have that. They feel a connection to somebody on the outside, and we're it sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I like that they feel that way about us, and I like some of them times they call in on the show, which is kind of cool. But a lot of them have had a religious conversion, mm-hmm. And but I imagine that when you go into the prison, there's still a lot of people that haven't gotten there yet, right? I mean, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Are you there specifically trying to speak to them?
Right. We open up our events to everybody. And there's been times where I've been on the yard and taken my boat in on the yard, and that draws out people who wouldn't go to a chapel.
Your boat?
My boat.
You take a boat into the prison?
I've taken a boat into several prison yards.
Really?
Yeah, and that
now, why do you do that? Because it's something that kind of grabs their attention?
Yeah, motorcycles, boats, and that way,
And then they start coming over to see it.
They start coming over. You pull back the hood of that engine and or the motor box on our boat, and they're just checking out these amazing engines. And they start asking questions, and then I would actually stand on the platform of the boat that's on a trailer and speak to the guys about a power source that'll never fail them and getting off the dock, and it just makes a great visual. And so in the chapel, we send posters ahead of time, and they know we're coming. We send out invitations by way of letters to those that are writing to us because they're our best mouthpiece, and they invite their friends. And we have had, there's people, believers who just need encouragement, but there's also people who, if your God's so good, why is all this happening to me? And we get to talk with them. And
what do you say when they tell you that? When they ask you that?
A lot of people think that God's the author of all of our problems. And we live in a messed up world, and we have a real enemy, Satan, there's evil that's out to kill, steal, and destroy. And God does allow us to go through things, but sometimes, like Jonah, that well that we find ourselves in for 3 days, it was God saving him because of his stubbornness. He was drowning in the water. And there was a lot of people and a lot of our team members that have been incarcerated. It was like prison and jail was where they got saved. Not just eternally, but where their life was saved, because they would have died if they would have continued on that path.
No doubt, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you get into these prisons? Do the prisons welcome you in?
Yes, and we have an incredible man, Pat Avery, and he's got a team that's getting us into these prisons. So it takes about 6 months for each tour to be able to get all of us cleared, and we've got people on our team with former records, so it's not always easy, and sometimes they're rejected even though it's been decades. And so, yeah, we go in and we go Arizona, out in the desert where nobody visits. Then we'll go to some places where they have a lot of programming. It just kind of depends on where the door opens up. Pennsylvania this weekend was the first time we've had that opportunity, and we were so welcomed. And it was just, we had a great experience with the staff and the incarcerated. We're going to New Hampshire soon. In Kansas, those will be new ones, and back to Florida. And
have you ever had a problem in a prison?
I have not personally been hurt or anything, but there is a lot of chaos going on around us. I don't talk about it too much or it's freak my parents out, but yeah, we get locked down a lot. There's riots. There's people coming by that.
So you're in there, and they lock you down. Where do you go when you get locked down? Because I guess they put the prisoners in their cell.
Last time I was in a federal penitentiary, we were about 3 steps from the chapel, and all of a sudden sirens went off. A door shut between us and the chapel door, and I sat on my magazine box for 45 minutes while we looked out a window watching a riot, and here comes a guy on a stretcher, just all to pieces. And it was funny, this former cartel member was with me at JC, and he just looked at me and Pat, and he goes, "You white people, y'all don't mess around." He goes,
hold on a second. You had a cartel member with you?
Yeah, I roll with some really interesting people. And yeah, JC, he's got Savage right down his face. And
how did you meet the cartel member?
I did a story on him. He's actually on the cover of one of your magazines out there. And,
oh, yeah.
And it was a man that, a rough life and past. And
from Mexico?
He was actually from Chicago. He is Mexican, Hispanic, and he's American. And he was locked in Mexican prisons. He ran with the cartel, and the Flores brothers were his bosses, and now he calls me boss. It's crazy. And I was like, JC, why are you calling me? He goes, I take bullets for the boss. I take bullets for the boss.
Wow.
And so I'm riding through the desert, just JC and I'm like, he could bury me in a heartbeat. But he is just the kindest, gentlest person, and it's all because of God.
All right, let's talk about what you're doing in September, Friday, September the 12th, and Saturday, September the 13th. Mm-hmm. You're bringing back your second Revival of Hope. You did this last year.
Yeah.
Fire Tower Road under the big tent.
Yep, we're putting up the tent, and
same place again.
Parker Overton and Harvey Lewis are sharing their land there with us
at the Fire Tower.
Right under the Fire Tower.
People know where the Fire Tower is, and that's where on Fire Tower Road. And you're putting up the tent on that land.
Yes, the idea for this came last year. We don't do fundraisers for our ministry, yet it costs us hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to do what we do.
So how do you pay for it?
We have individual donors that do that, but we hold revivals, and we have people sponsor those revivals. And those revivals, that revival we're going to do under the tent on September 12th and 13th is going to be recorded. It'll be streamed in the prisons. It'll reach tens of thousands of people, and it's pretty exciting. So we welcome everybody to come. You'll get a little taste of what we do, but you're going to be, if you don't leave there changed and leave there full, something's wrong with you. That's what my granddaddy would say when you'd come to his house. If you leave here hungry, it's your own fault. So you don't want to miss it. You're looking at the poster right there. But
you got a lot of my friends that are going to speak.
Yeah, we have a lot of local people. Carly Summers, which is Paige and Mike Amen's daughter.
Who's now a famous author.
Famous author, and house interior designer, but she has a testimony of incarceration, a testimony of addiction that God set her free from. We have John Bowling and his wife, Callie Delano.
Former Interbanks Media.
Yeah. They're going to be
John
leading the
Bowling.
worship. They're out of Gateway.
I saw Kelly on here. That's beautiful.
Yeah, Kelly Brown's going to be playing the fiddle.
Kelly Brown from Advantage Therapy Solutions. I just mentioned them on the show. Kelly is an unbelievable violin player.
Yes, she's awesome.
And so she's going to play?
She's going to play. We got Tracy Morrissey, who's also local, and Dr. Frederick Best and Renee Cairns. They're all local. And then Robert Whitner spoke last year. I met him in prison ministry. This is a man who found God while he was in prison. He's going to share about his past, and he brings a message. He was so on fire last year. I teased him. I said, "You broke my stage." He went up, did a 360, came down. Next day, I was on that stage. I'm like, "Robert, you broke the stage." But he was everybody's favorite. He's coming back. But our keynote speakers, Rabbi Jason Sobel, if you've ever heard of the Chosen television series,
yeah,
he is their spiritual advisor. He's the one that comes on at the end. He makes sure that Dallas Jenkins, the producer, that they're on spot with what they're sharing, biblically, with Jewish background. I went to the Holy Land with him, and we're actually...
Where is he from?
He's in California.
Okay. So
but he was a rapping rabbi. He was a rapper before he came to know God.
Is he going to rap at your survival?
He might.
Revival?
He has. I have heard him. It's hilarious. And but he was a producer for top rappers. And he's in New Jersey.
Became a rabbi.
Yes. And then he sought purpose. He saw that the people with all that money were so miserable. And so he started seeking purpose in all these Eastern religions. And he became a Buddhist. And then he came to know Christ, and he actually lost his family over that. He said, "My family would have rather me had a Playboy in my room than a New Testament," and because it just went against everything his family believed.
Wow.
And so, and then Matt Manzari was a water sports friend of mine who had many near-death experiences. He was a pro wake skater, and Matt was electrocuted while doing trimming trees at his church.
Oh, my.
They put him in the wrong bucket, and it arched over, and it was the volts of 12,000 volts, the equivalent of 6 electric chairs.
Jeez.
And so those things you see on his chest, those are all scars. And his ministry is called Beyond the Burn. And he talks about our identities not in being a victim to what happened to us. You can move beyond that burn.
Wow.
So there's something for everybody.
All right, so it's Friday, September the 12th, Saturday, September the 13th. And on Saturday, you've got stuff going on during the day.
Yes, Matt actually is going to be running a workshop that is called Discover Your Story. A lot of people don't even think they have a story, and they don't understand how they fit into God's greater purpose. So he's going to walk them through that. Everything is free. You can go to revivalofhope.org, and you can find out all the information. We've got Grillville and The Rock food truck are going to be on site, and very thankful for that. We're going to have some churros and desserts as well.
Awesome.
We're going to have a good time.
All right, Friday, September 12th, and Saturday, September 13th.
Yeah.
It's the Revival of Hope on Fire Tower Road.
We're still looking for sponsors.
Under the Fire Tower. How do people contact you?
They can go to revivalofhope.org, or they can call the number on the screen there. What does that say there?
252-412-5715. 252-412-5715.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Good to see you.
I love you. Thank you.
Good to see you. Love you and your family. It was with your mom and
Can
dad.
we say
earlier.
hey to Daddy? Hey, Daddy. Hey, Mama.
Hey, Mom and Daddy. I was with your mom and dad twice this week. Well, your dad. I was with your mom once.
Yeah.
But
They're good peeps.
They are.
I hit
good
the
people.
jackpot.
A great Greenville family.